One of the things that always created a little bit of an inner turmoil for me, especially when I was younger and as I got older, completely in the understanding of why that it was this way. Why was it that my family, my mother, people that I knew that assigned to Catholicism, and particularly with Catholicism, for anyone who doesn't know, Catholicism is very big on, the saints and sanctification and the Virgin Mary. The restrictions that people who are in the negative aspect of Catholicism, because again, there's good and bad. There's a weaponization and a perversion of every form, every doctrine, every nation, every race. I'm talking about the intention around the energy, the foundation that they're built on, their principles, their morals, their beliefs. They have such strong convictions, the Catholics that I've been raised around, particularly my mother. But what I hear a lot for Catholics who have perversed scripture and have used it as a tool of separation rather than unity is that they want to control spirit. They have a belief that they are in charge of free will. They are the ones who are elected, who are appointed to determine who has free will and who has God's will. And most of them, a lot of them, and this is my experience, this is opinion based here, okay? I feel like I gotta distinguish. I've been a part of my world for the last 2 years. I apologize if sometimes I go on a little bit of a tangent and have to over explain myself, but I appreciate your grace around that, because when your outer reality has been a reflection of people who are willfully, ignorantly opposing you just to be in opposition of you for whatever their end goal is, whatever they think that they're going to gain from sacrificing you, it takes a little bit of a readjustment from people. And one of the biggest struggles that we're all navigating is the understanding of each other and of language and of the way that we communicate. And when you have people that are carrying a lot of wounding with them, they're carrying a lot of burden, and even the people that are willfully ignorant, even narcissists, maybe not so much psychopaths, but narcissists, they are carrying shame, and that can hinder their ability to receive from you in the way in which you attend. My over explanation is to still attempt at least to be in service to them as well, because their healing is also crucial, as many of them as possible, coming away from whatever this cult, group, church, whoever they are, that has appointed and elected themselves righteous enough to be sacrificing good people, women, children, and Christians in 2025 in America. I am quite certain that there are many members of their group that have been misled and didn't know what they were investing in. And so a lot of that has to do with communication, the changing of languages, the changing of understanding, the misconceptions, and ultimately the author of confusion, we all know, the devil. Where there's confusion and chaos, there is the devil all the time. To be an inspiration, because that still gives people the opportunity of choice. That gives people the opportunity for them to take that wisdom or take that understanding and then integrate it, and they can apply it to whatever their upbringing was or whatever their confusion is, whatever it is that they're sort of grappling with internally. Get it on a bigger spectrum beyond my mother into Catholicism and into more natural world structures like education, the justice system. It is a world and a foundation. The mass majority of families are raising children for what they believe to be correct. Raising children based on what the world's telling them, what the school tells them, what a doctor tells them, the neighbors tell them, what their traditions and their culture. And I'm not opposed to any of those things. Those are all such crucial parts of our identity, of our spirit. And God places us in certain places throughout the entire earth for all of us to gain wisdom and understanding within those places. Every single human being was given a spirit that God intended for them to have. And in my life, a lot of my life, there was a lot of trying to narrate my story, trying to narrate my spirit, comparison, belittling, judgment, the highest form of persecution. And when that starts to trickle over into systems of natural law, like the family court or criminal court or even civil court, combined with the influx of artificial intelligence, these sort of super entities, that is what forms a principality. There is wrongful judgment, misunderstanding, misconception, fraud, corruption, extortion, straight up just lies, just plain bold lies, willful ignorance, financial abuse, and none of it ends up having to do with the spirit within people, but in terms of children, about the spirit that children were born with and the circumstances in which they were born into and their life's journey. You have to have people in those sort of areas that are governing to make sure that the bigger picture can always be seen. Just in the last few days, I have heard multiple stories about corruption, abuse, neglect, false imprisonment, fraud, identity theft at a very large scale. And artificial intelligence was included in all of those situations. And I don't know yet to the length that it's been included in mine, but I know that there is another human being walking around with my identity right now. And I think they think they're a celebrity or an influencer. I know that there are people exploiting my content. I know that I am stalked regularly. I know my car has had the brakes cut for the second time in a year. There have been false allegations made against me. I know that there is witchcraft and voodoo being done. I know that massive amounts of money have been stolen from me. I know that there is some part of the justice system that has been taking part in an illegal operation against me. Somebody is so ignorant that they would do voodoo and black magic in an attempt to take out their child's mother when their child's mother is a good mother. And there's no reason to ever do that. But it should give you an idea of the level of evil for someone to want to hurt the mother of their child, who is all the way in her lane, who is not creating any kind of conflict. This wasn't like a high conflict child custody situation. This was my ex and his wife formulating a long game strategy to acquire money with my mother, who had already been committing fraud in the background for a long time. She and many other people participated in a strategy for my deletion. And my son, my 10-year-old William Edelberg, has been taken from me, is not even allowed to communicate with me. The level of trauma and abuse that Nick and Shelby are participating in, but even more concerning, is what a courtroom allowed, a legal entity allowed, participated in, and has not retracted. People send ending voodoo towards an anointed person, someone who has the Holy Spirit and doesn't just talk about it, but actually lives their life that way. And you are so ignorant, you and your wife, that you start doing ending dark magic that you know nothing about. That energy has to return. That energy has to go somewhere. And so when your best friend in his 40s passes away, your mother is diagnosed with a terminal, life-changing sickness, your son is in pain. Your son is demonstrating to you that he has anxiety, depression, fear, to the point of not even wanting to speak, fear of anything he says being used as anything that could hurt his mom anymore. And their solution to this was to prescribe and give my son medication, ADHD medication that he did not need. And when my son didn't want to take it, his wife started putting it in my child's applesauce. The Cuyahoga County Family Court is allowing Satan worshipers, monsters, who are not only hurting a child, not only attempting to hurt me, but also hurting the people around them because of their ignorance, their stupidity, their arrogance, and their audacity. This needs to be addressed immediately. I want my son returned to me. Whatever comes up because of the lies, the perjury, the slander, the defamation that these two participated in, that can be dealt with, and it will be dealt with. But I want my son returned to me. They are attempting to break the faith of a 10-year-old little boy, these two monsters. And yes, they are monsters, because anybody that would do what they have done thus far is a monster. They're soulless. When you can watch people around you you claim to care about pass away, get sick, and your own child be traumatized, you can lie to your own child, that's evil. That you're entitled to anything. The thought that you can't even take accountability. You're so self-righteous. And this is what it all boils down to in the bigger picture, with people who hold this false belief that they can go into a religious system like Catholicism and they can enter the darkest parts of it and use that religion as a weapon to hurt people. You can walk around your entire life. My mother's 81. Your entire life holding yourself as something. But when your actions has perpetuated on me my entire life, now attempting to perpetuate on my children a curse, an intentional curse, because that's what my mother does. That's what these people do. They intentionally curse people. They are witches. But if they were sitting next to you, they would tell you that they were Catholic. Open your eyes. You want to know who is hurting people, who is performing hate crimes? That's who's doing it. And I'm the example of it, at least in my case. But there's a larger structure that is governing these people that also took part in this hate crime. And they're not Catholic. I want my son returned to me. This is abuse. It is injustice. It is wrong. And it is evil. And if I have to keep making videos day after day, then that's what I'll do. Until every last one of these people is dealt with, is put in prison, is punished, has to answer for the consequences of their actions. Because the reason that they continuously perpetuate this behavior is because they're never punished. What is the point in law if it is not followed? What is the point? Except to empower evil. When you see these situations of fraud and artificial intelligence, people don't recognize there are families that are harmed. There has been one member apartment housing where there was just a huge discovery of fraud. One person has lost their job, that's it. How many people were harmed because of the amount of fraud? These people were pocketing money that was supposed to go to homeless people and going and sitting in church on a Sunday. These people were pocketing and feeding their families, buying houses, buying cars, living their best lives, going on vacations, while people lost their job, had a death in their family, were going through some kind of hardship to take from other people, but they don't just take. And this is my point. They don't just take. They harm. They hurt. They kill, they steal, and they destroy. And then the people that they kill, steal, and destroy from, they judge them. They persecute them. And, like in my case, so no one ever finds out that the little old lady sitting next to them in their Catholic church, that the politician, the attorney, the judge, the superintendent, you have to look deeper at the intentions of people. And anybody who is demonstrating bigotry, misogyny, corruption, fraud, theft, blasphemy, witchcraft, black magic, trying to sacrifice another human being at the expense of a 10-year-old little boy being traumatized. And these monsters get away with it day after day after day after day. And instead of putting them in jail where they belong, some of them, like in the cases we're seeing in the news right now, haven't even lost their jobs. But yet the victims, the people who are affected like that, are still struggling, are still being affected by these monsters who continue to try to hire people to hurt them so they can't be a witness against them.